Alright, so in today's video we're going to create some models with multiple features, and they're not going to be super complex models, but they're going to build on one of my last Onshape videos. So we're going to go to create document, and my students are going to name this year MS0902 as models with multiple features. Alright, and I'm going to hit create public document. And it's going to bring me into my document. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of set this up the way I want it. We're going to get rid of the assembly because we're not going to create any assemblies. We're going to create 4 basic models today, so let's delete that. I don't like extra tabs if we don't need to have them there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our first piece. All right, so the first one we're going to make is this right here. I'm calling this the eye block because it kind of looks like an eye. And there's a couple different ways that we could approach making this. Now for each of these models, what I want to create and what we're going to focus on is we're going to create it exactly in the orientation that the picture shows. Okay, if I was modeling this I might rotate it or something like that, but we're going to show it exactly in this orientation, and that's important because that's going to change what planes we pick to draw sketches. Now there's a bunch of ways you could create this model. All right, you could create a rectangle at the top, or maybe this slanted part of it, this top surface up here, and you could extrude it down, and then you could extrude this way to cut out these little sections in here. You could also extrude the front as a rectangle and then cut away this slant and cut away these 2 sections. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create, because this looks a lot like an I-beam to me that has kind of a cut at the end, so I'm going to kind of make it the way that I think somebody would actually make this thing, but keeping in mind I want to reduce features. Okay, so I'm going to try and sketch my first sketch as one of the most detailed sketches. Okay, so if we look from the side, an I-beam looks like an eye like this. Okay, but we're not going to be able to put this slant in right away. Okay, and you'll see what I mean in 1 second. All right, and I'm going to show a handy method here, and this is the method we would take if we have a part that looks like it might be symmetric. Okay, so this part here is symmetric. It's an eye, okay, and that's symmetric about a center, and then we have a cut on the end. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a nice symmetric sketch. There's a couple different ways you could do it. Okay, but I'm going to show you one way because our other part's going to give us an opportunity to show another way. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go sketch. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to draw the eye, and if I bring this back over here, we notice the eye kind of extrudes from the right to the left. Okay, which means I probably want to draw on my right plane if I want it in this orientation. So we're going to pick our right plane, and then we're going to right click, view normal to sketch plane. I like to look directly at the plane if I can. All right, now we're only going to create 1/4 of this sketch, and we're going to use some tools to help us create the other parts of it. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Go into your construction mode. Okay, and I may use keys here and there. I'll say the keys. I'll also probably go up here and point to them as well. But construction mode is Q, line is L. Okay, so we can go up and click line, or I can hit L. You can see it turns it on. All right, and then let's put a vertical center line in. Let's hit escape. Okay, let's hit Q again. Okay, or go up and click it. It's a lot quicker if you know the different shortcuts. And then let's click L again, and we'll draw a horizontal line here. Doesn't matter how long, just make it, you know, pretty decent length. All right, but you could also come up and click. Okay, so I'm going to hit escape again, and now I'm going to hit L one more time, and I'm going to draw the top quarter of what this eye looks like. All right, so it goes over like this, goes down like this, goes over like this, and it goes down like that. Okay, then I'm going to hit escape. Now I'm going to put some dimensions in. I can go up here and click this dimension tool, or I can hit D on my keyboard. And now, because I have these center lines, I can still get the full width across and vertically. So we're going to pick this line, we're going to come pick our center line, and then we're going to move over, and it's going to give us a full width. Now this is a really nice way to make like symmetric pieces. You don't have to make them this way, okay? I'll show you another way before I finish here, okay? So we click, we get our dimension across, and according to our drawing, the dimension of the width here is 1.5. One thing I really like about Onshape is it rescales everything once you put in that first dimension. A lot of programs don't do that. All right, now I also need my height, which is 2.5. So I'm going to pick the top line. I'm going to pick this center line again. I'm going to move down, which gives me the full height. And I'm going to go to 2.5. Don't worry about these diameter symbols. Those are going to go away once we extrude this thing. Okay? Because this isn't a round part. We don't need a diameter. But it's okay. It doesn't know that yet. Now for the height of my little piece over here, okay, so I can pick this line, move over, click, is 0.75. And then the only other thing I need, you notice there's a blue line right here, is either the width across here or the width to the edge here. The number they give is the width to the edge. So we're going to go from here, click, to here, and then we're going to move up, click again, 0.5, okay? And now, here's the trick, okay? So we're going to hit escape so we get out of this tool. All right. Now draw a window around your lines. Come up here, pick mirror, and it's going to mirror across that line, or if it didn't do it automatically, I had the line there. You just pick on that line. Okay. Now I'm going to hit escape again. Now I'm going to draw another, okay, little window here. I'm going to go whoop, right through here. And I'm going to pick mirror again. I'm going to come down. I'm going to pick this line. Now I've got my whole L shape. Okay? So that's one way we can do it. I'm going to show you one other way. Okay? So let's say I didn't want to draw just the corner here. So I'm going to undo everything. All the way back to where we don't even have lines. Okay? I could also do this. Line across. Line down, line over, down. This is going to take a little bit more time, just to warn you. Go up, hover over here so I can line those up. Down, over. I'm going to line these up again. I don't have to, but you know, it's going to save me a little bit of time down the road. Okay, I'm going to go over, up, over, up. Okay, now I could use constraints. So up here, you notice how this kind of looks like a mirror. It's a symmetric constraint. So that means I could go like this, and I could say this point is symmetric, like a mirror image across here to this. And we're going to notice both the lines adjust. This point is symmetric across here to this. That's going to move that. This point is symmetric across here to this. That's going to move that down. This point is symmetric across here to this. All right, and now I've got an eye shape. Now I'm going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to put in some dimensions by hitting D. This was 1.5. Everything shrinks. This to this was 2.5. Okay, ooh, didn't like that. So let's leave that how it is for now. Let's put another dimension in there. I just said Control Z. If you're wondering, this is 0.75. Let's put some constraints in there. Now let's change this. Now we're looking more like an eye. Okay, what was happening is this was growing down or this was growing up, and they were kind of like smushing together in the middle there. Okay, so, and then the other one I was missing was from here to here is 0.5. And now I've got the exact same shape. Okay, two ways to do the same thing. All right, your personal preference. Now, me personally, I don't always do the mirror thing. I just wanted to show that trick. Normally, I would draw it like this and put in constraints. I love constraints, okay? But it's totally personal preference. So, now I could either go up and hit the check box. I know I'm going to extrude this thing. So, I'm just going to rotate this so I can see it in 3D. And I'm going to go up to here and just hit extrude right away so it knows to use my sketch. Okay, but I also could have, you know, I'll show the whole thing. I could have went up to extrude, then pick the sketch, and it does the same thing. Just saves a step. Now, we were talking about symmetry, so let's keep this symmetric. And the full length of this is 4. Okay, there's our eye shape. Now I need one more feature. Okay, so that was one feature so far. All right, I'm going to create a sketch. I'm going to pick the surface I want to draw this sketch on, because what we're going to create now is this slanted cutout at 45 degrees downward. There's a bunch of ways to do this, but here's the simple way. This is going to work in every parametric modeling program. I don't have to pick a plane. I could just pick the top surface, right click, view normal to the plane, create a line that just goes down like this. So I'm going to make sure, by the way, let me show you what I did there. I hovered over the corner to make sure it was coincident with the corner. Go down at an angle, click. Notice how I'm highlighting different things that I want it to be connected to. Okay, now I've got my triangle. Now I'm going to hit D for dimension, and I'm going to pick this line and this line, move in between here, click, 45 degrees. Now if I rotate this, you can see I have a little triangle there. I'm going to use that triangle to remove everything, okay? So I'm going to go back up to extrude. I'm going to switch it to remove. And now let me show you a very important trick. Don't be this person, okay? Because if I work with you, I'm going to get really mad at you. Don't be the person who just goes, that's long enough, that looks good. That's not what we're doing. We're cutting all the way through, okay? You're putting a random dimension here. What I just did is I'm putting a random dimension inside of my part. So go up here, switch it from blind, and go through all, okay? Now, no matter how big I ever make this piece, it's always going to cut through, and it simplifies the part, okay? We hit OK. We're done with our first part. And before I forget, okay, let's go down and rename this. I said the name of it was iBlock. It's very important that we keep everything in order here, okay? Have some nice organization. Now let's make our next part. Our next part looks like this. I'm calling it an L block. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Hit the plus sign, create a new part studio. Let's rename it to L block. And I'm going to go a little faster this time, okay? Because now we have a little more experience. So I'm going to go sketch, and I'm going to look at this piece, and I'm going to say, okay, how can I reduce features? Well, I could make a rectangular block. I could cut that away. I could cut that away. That would be 3 features. I can make a rectangular block that has like a U shape, extrude it that way, and then cut this way. That would be 2 features. Personally, I like to draw the view that looks the most descriptive of what the shape of the piece is, okay? So for me, I'm seeing this L on the top. That's why I named it L block. Okay, so I'm gonna draw this on the top plane, okay? So let's go up here, let's pick the top plane. Okay, for our sketch plane. Let's right click, view normal to sketch plane. Now let's just draw that L shape. So I'm gonna start here, go over, down, making sure I'm vertical and horizontal. I'm closing that up. Now let's put some dimensions in. Let's hit D. Okay, this is 4. This line over here is 1.5. Ooh, that got a little funky there. So let's Control Z that for a second. We'll do that again. Let's hit D again. We'll change that at the end once we have some more dimensions in there. Let's go out here. This one is 0.75. And this one down here is 1. Now let's change that other one. It should look a lot more like what we want. There we go. Okay, because now this one's controlling how far that line moves up. Here's my sketch in 3D. Let's go up, let's hit extrude. This height, the total height of this piece is 2.5. Okay. Now all we have is one more extrusion. I gotta cut out a rectangular piece here. Sketch, pick the plane, right click, view normal to the plane. Let's save some time. Let's use a rectangle. It goes like this. Now let's hit D for dimension. This line to this line is 0.5. This is not a symmetric piece. This line to this line is 0.75. Not symmetric, okay? If it was symmetric, I might have had some value in extruding this equal both ways, but in this piece, not a lot of value to that. Now for the width of this line up here, which is gonna fully define this, is 2. I'll rotate it so you can see my sketch. And I'm going to hit extrude. I'm going to switch it to remove. And again, I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. Through all. Hit the checkbox. Now we're done with 2 pieces. Okay? Now for the last 2 pieces we're going to do, these are a little more complex. They're going to use slightly different features. Okay? So, first off, let's create a new part studio. Plus, create part studio. Now I'm going to bring the picture over. I'm calling this thing a cap disc. Okay, this would be like a disc we would assemble to something. It's got a little bolt pattern. And maybe we'd assemble some screws that would hold something, you know, close something up, something like that. I don't know. I made up a story in my mind. All right, so this cap disc is round. Okay, please, 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 please do not create this with an extrude. I get it. You can make a circle and extrude it. That's great. But in other programs and down the road, if I had you put holes in here, or maybe it's a hole with a retaining ring groove and stuff like that, your model is now harder to modify if you extrude this. So we're going to revolve this. Okay? Now, so here's what we're going to do. To get it in that orientation, my round piece is on the front plane, but my revolve is going to be on the right plane. Okay? So my circular profile is on the front. If I was extruding, that's what I would do. But we know extruding is not the right way to make this piece. So we're going to go sketch. We're going to pick the right plane. We're going to right click, view normal to the plane. Here's all we need to do. Line, construction, center line. You're going to see down the road how this is actually going to save us a lot of time in the long run. Then let's make a rectangle that just goes from here up to here. Now let's put some dimensions in. Hit D for dimension. Line to here. Move it out. Okay, the full diameter of this is 5. Pretty big piece, 5 inches. The width of this is 1 inch width. Okay? Now, here's the advantage of this, if you're wondering why we would revolve this. If I down the road want to put in like a hole in here, all I've got to do is just put like a line like this. Maybe I got like a groove in here, kind of goes like this. And I put that in, I trim, and now I've got a hole in there with a snap ring groove. Okay? Simple change. If I extrude this, I have to create a completely new feature to do that. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but down the road, you make some more advanced pieces, it becomes a problem. Okay? So now we're going to go up and pick revolve. It's going to automatically take my sketch, so I don't have to click it. Now my revolve axis is this right here. This axis we put in. There's my disc. Okay. Now here's the trick though. We're going to put some holes in here. Because we've created that revolve axis, we're going to be able to put these holes in the proper way. And the proper way to do this, because they're all the same, this is a hole pattern, 3 times diameter 0.62, equally spaced. Okay, the proper way to do this is to put in one hole and pattern it around equally spaced. Okay, using a circular pattern. Can I do it other ways? Yes, but you're making things harder for yourself. And when you get into other programs, more advanced programs, okay, things like Creo, SolidWorks, all that sort of stuff, you're gonna wish that you made a hole pattern because it's gonna give you more freedom. Okay, so we're gonna make a hole. Okay, these are not extrudes; they are holes. All right, I'll show you why in a moment. When we put a hole in an Onshape, this is the way we do it. We create a sketch, we pick the plane our sketch is on, and we right click and we view normal to the plane, just like normal. But to put a hole in, what Onshape likes, and this is a little bit different than other programs use the hole command a little bit different, but what Onshape likes is a point to figure out where the center of the hole is. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. This drawing says that these 3 holes are equally spaced on a diameter of 3. That's what that green circle is, a diameter of 3 center circle. So here's what we're gonna do. Construction line, circle. We're gonna put a center circle in. Okay. Now if you want to, you can dimension it right now. Let's hit D, pick this, 3, enter. Now come up here and pick the point command. and we're going to create that top circle. Okay, I'm going to make sure that my circle highlights, my center circle highlights, and I'm in line with my origin. That's going to put it right there, and I'm not even going to need a dimension. See how it's already black, it's already defined. Now I'm going to hit OK. Okay, and you may think, well, why didn't you just put the other ones in? I could, but that's going to actually make it harder to modify this thing down the road. Okay, if I do it that way. But it works, it would work the same way. So now here's why we use the hole command. I can pick hole, I pick this sketch for the hole, and now it puts it exactly where the point is. Here's the advantage of the hole command, by the way. We're going to create a simple hole, but we could also make it a counterbore. We could also make it a countersink with one quick little change right here. And you can modify this at any point in time now because you use the proper feature. So when you create holes, use the hole command in any program, any Creo, SolidWorks, Onshape, Inventor, anything. Use the hole command. That's why it exists. We're going to make sure our hole goes through, and we're going to set it at the right size, which is 0.62, and hit enter. Then we're just going to hit the checkbox. Okay, now we have one hole. Now here's what we're going to do with it. Okay, we're going to circular pattern it. So we're going to go up to the pattern, we're going to hit circular pattern, and a couple important things. If you start here, you're going to go, oh, click the hole. Oh, why would I click my hole? Well, here's why. We got to hit this pull down. We have to pick feature pattern because we're patterning a feature. We're not patterning a part. Feature pattern. Now I can pick the hole. And for my axis, remember how I said that revolve was going to save us some time down the road? Go up to your revolve sketch, hit the little eyeball so that you can see the sketch all the time. Now our axis is the same as our revolve, and it puts an axis pattern in. Then come back over to your sketch, hit the little eyeball, hide the sketch. No one's going to know how you did it. So now we've picked the edge of a sketch, and we have to do a couple things. How many holes do we have? We have 3 that are equally spaced. Okay, if I turn this off, it's not going to know where to put them. Equally spaced around 360 degrees. I could also do this. This would give me the same result. If they're equally spaced around 360 degrees, then there's 120 degrees in between them. But why do that? If it's equally spaced, then put the full circle in and just tell it how many go in there and let it do the math for you. Work smarter, not harder. Now we hit the checkbox, and we are done with this whole part. Okay, this entire part is already done. All right, now we have one last part. So let's rename this. This one was cap disc. And let's hit the plus sign, and let's create another part studio. Now for this one, we're going to create what I'm calling a lever ball, because this is like a little ball that you would see like on the end of a lever for, say, like a vise. Okay, that might have like a press fit that presses into here. And I'm going to go against my rule just to warn you ahead of time, because there's one little limitation Onshape has with holes. Okay, and there would be a lot more work to do it the other way. Okay, so I'll explain it when I get there. So here's how we make a sphere. All right, we're going to go sketch. Well, actually, you know what? Let's rename this first. I'm being a little inconsistent here. Lever ball, okay? Because the grades that you get on this are going to be based on things like, you know, organization, things like that. Sketch. We're going to pick, we could pick literally any plane we want here, okay? Because we're going to make sure that the center of that ball is right in the center of this entire thing. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's pick the front plane. Okay, right click, view normal to the sketch plane. Now create a line with a construction. Line goes up here, and this is how we make a sphere, okay? So we're going to create a circle, like so. We're going to dimension the circle by hitting D. The sphere is 4 inches in diameter. Now I'm going to create a line by hitting L. Start from the top, go all the way down, close up your circle. Now find your scissors or hit M for trim. Trim away this side. Now I have this for my sketch. Now you're going to see in a second, this would have worked, this same exact sketch would have worked on any plane as long as I'm keeping my sphere centered on my datum planes. So let's go to revolve. Revolve axis is this axis up here. And like magic, we have a sphere because it's spinning that half circle around. Okay? So I'm going to hit OK. And now I'm going to go against my rule, okay? The one thing that is a little frustrating with Onshape is it doesn't love recognizing round surfaces, okay? So if you want to, for example, create a hole on the edge here that's going to go all the way through, you have to probably offset a plane would probably be the easiest way to do it, which I don't love because now if the sphere changes, now the plane's not going to move with it. We could put in like relations and stuff, but that makes it all much more complex. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to sketch. We're going to pick the front plane. We're going to right click and we're going to view normal to sketch. And all you're going to do is make a circle. And you're going to put a dimension in, and that circle is going to be 0.75, and I'm going to be really sad that we have to do it this way. Okay? The other disadvantage is when you use the hole command, Onshape doesn't allow a second direction for the hole. So it doesn't allow you to machine one way and then also machine the other way from your plane. So that's the real limitation. Other programs have that, so you wouldn't have to do this extrude method I'm about to show you. So we're going to extrude, but it does give me an opportunity to teach you something new, okay? We're going to say it goes through all. Okay, we're going to say it's a remove. You're going to go, where's my hole? Oh, there it is. Well, how come it doesn't go through everything? I said it goes through all. Well, take a look where your sketch is. It's in the middle of the ball. It's only cutting through one way. So when you want to cut in two directions, we're going to go second end position right up here. And we're going to make that say through all. And that's going to cut through the whole way. Now I can see through the other side. Look at that. Perfect. I'm going to hit my checkbox. I'm going to switch to isometric mode. And I have completed all 4 of the models that we're going to learn today. Okay, so the key to this is when you're making multiple features and when you're making parts that are a little more complex than just one feature, try and minimize features where you can. Try and look for simpler ways to model it. What is the simplest sketch, or what's the more descriptive sketch? How can I reduce features where I can? Because down the road, when you make really advanced models and really complex designs, the simpler your sketches are, the simpler your model is, the less features there are, the better your program is going to run, and the happier everyone else is going to be when they have to change something to maybe, you know, make the part work better or whatever it might be. Okay?